So Michael's officially released, and it's the latest biopic about the King of Pop.
This film comes with a strong cast too. We got Jafar Jackson, Michael's real-life nephew, stepping into the lead role, alongside Nia Long, Coleman Domingo, and Miles Teller.
Now before I continue, there will be spoilers in this video, and I also want to address the elephant in the room.
This film does not touch on the sexual assault allegations that first surfaced against Michael in 1993. Now I know that's been a major point of discussion, and for a lot of people, a point of criticism. But personally, I didn't have an issue with that decision.
And the reason why is simple. You have to understand the movie that's being made here.
This film isn't trying to tell a complete life story. It focuses on Michael's rise, particularly the early parts of his career leading up to the performance on the Bad Tour. By the time the movie ends, it's clear the goal wasn't to cover everything, it was to pay homage.
And for me, that worked.
If you're telling a story with a defined scope, there's no reason to complicate it by adding elements that could easily be their own film entirely. And when it comes to that omitted part of his life, there are already other pieces of media that explore that side extensively. So if someone wants to go deeper into that, the information is out there.
But this film had a specific story it wanted to tell, and I think it stayed focused on that.
Because of that, I felt like it accomplished what it set out to do. With that being said, we follow Michael from his time in the Jackson 5, dealing with the pressure and abuse from his father Joseph Jackson, to his personal struggles, including how he dealt with vitiligo, his changing appearance, and ultimately his decision to pursue a solo career. One of the most important moments in the film is when he finally stands up to his father and chooses his own path. There was so much buildup from the time Michael was a child to his adult years, which allowed the moment to feel earned.
Now let's talk about what the film does well.
For me, the strongest aspect of the movie is the relationship between Michael and Joe Jackson. If you're familiar with the Jackson family, you know Joe has often been described as strict, sometimes even abusive. And the film doesn't shy away from showing how that shaped Michael. You see how it affected his mindset, his perfectionism, and his constant need to be the best. And as that tension builds throughout the film, watching Michael slowly break away from that control becomes one of the most impactful parts of the story. I want to talk about the casting and the performances for a bit.
Coleman Domingo delivers a great performance as Joe Jackson.
He really embodies that controlling, authoritative presence, and there were moments where his mannerisms and delivery made him feel like a completely different person. Nia Long also does a solid job as Katherine Jackson, although I do feel like her relationship with Michael takes a bit of a backseat compared to Joe's, which is a little unfortunate because from what we know, Michael had a very strong bond with his mother. Now, Jafar Jackson, I'll be honest, I wasn't completely sold on the casting at first, but after watching the film, I definitely get why he was casted.
He really committed to the role.
From the voice to the movement to the performance style, you can tell he put a lot into capturing who Michael was, and that effort definitely shows on screen.
If there's one thing people are going to walk away talking about, it's his performance.
As for the rest of the Jackson siblings, they serve their purpose, but the focus is clearly on Michael. Interestingly, there are a few of the Jackson siblings missing, including Rebe, Randy, and the half-sister Giovanni. What was most shocking was that Janet Jackson isn't featured in the film. In fact, along with the other siblings, she isn't even mentioned. It's a bit unfortunate that she wasn't in the movie, because out of all the siblings, Janet and Michael were the closest. It would have been nice to see that brother-sister dynamic play out in the film. According to reports, Janet was reportedly approached but declined, along with a few other family members. And honestly, that's understandable. This is a deeply personal story, and not everyone may want to revisit those moments. If I had one issue with the film, it's definitely the pacing. The early years feel rushed. I would have liked to spend more time seeing Michael grow up with his brothers and to understand that dynamic a little bit more, especially as the youngest in the group during its inception. It just felt like the film was trying to move through those years quickly to get to his solo career. Overall though, I think the film was pretty solid. Michael Jackson had a career that spanned decades, so fitting everything into one movie was always going to be a challenge. While a lot was left out, I don't necessarily see that as a negative. If anything, it leaves room for a sequel, whether that's intentional or not, because as we know, Hollywood is going to do what Hollywood does.
I've seen the mixed reactions to this film, and I get it.
If you were expecting a full, unfiltered story, this might not be what you were looking for. But for what it is, a more focused look at his rise and legacy, I think it works. And in some ways, it reminds me of when Straight Outta Compton was released back in 2015. There were similar conversations about what was included and what was left out. But I think a way to look at it when it comes to these biopics is, when the people connected to the story are involved in the production, there are always going to be creative decisions made. So we can't be too surprised when we get to see the final product. With that being said, I'm giving Michael a nice guy score of 7 out of 10.
Let me know what you thought in the comments below.
If you've seen Michael, did you enjoy it? Or were you expecting something different? Remember, keep believing, keep breathing, and as always, keep pushing peace. I'll catch you guys in the next one.